Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerry Stevenson. Today, I'm talking with Paul Burton. He's the Managing Director of Surefire Resources. The ASX code is SRN. Now, Surefire Resources have been flying a little bit under the radar. They've got their projects all over in WA, and they've got mineral exploration licenses over gold, one of my favourite subjects, as well as vanadium, something Paul knows. In fact, I reckon Paul's probably the best mind when it comes to vanadium in Australia. And they've also got a massive magnetite project. So lots to chat about today. Welcome back to Small Caps, Paul. Great to see you again.
Thanks very much, Kerry. Great to see you too.
First time I've chatted about Surefire Resources, so let our audience know just a brief overview and then we'll get into some detail.
Yeah, Surefire's been around for a number of years now. It's a junior exploration company and has managed to secure some excellent projects here in Western Australia in very good jurisdictions. And as you mentioned, they've been working under the radar. It's very much so. They've built up these significant portfolio of assets that would be, even one of them would be the envy of any junior mining company. As we're seeing now, that any one of them could be a potential company maker. So some significant assets in the group, small team, a very experienced chairman, Roger Nikolenko, who actually secured all of the assets in the group, and he's a well-known entity in the mining industry, gives great support, and has been very successful in his career in the past. And I think we're going to be repeating that with these projects as well.
So has Roger, and it'd be good to just talk a little bit about, I love his last name, Nikolenko, Roger Nikolenko. It's a great last name. Has he deliberately been quietly putting the projects together and not letting people know? Was that a deliberate strategy, do you think?
I think so, but also, look, it was during the COVID period as well, so there was limited amounts that could be done that had an effect, and he has a very small team. So it was really a question of working through the projects from really just pegging the land and then going through all the various stages of, your POWs, and then going on to doing the work on the ground, getting environmental clearances, this sort of thing. So a lot of work being done in the background without a lot of marketing.
Okay, I want to know, we've spoken in the past, you were with your previous company for quite some time. What's been the attraction to get you coming on board as Managing Director of Surefire?
Oh, look, I've known Roger for a while, and he's certainly been very successful, and he contacted me about joining the group, and I had a good look at the projects, and I was extremely surprised at how advanced these projects are, the scale of them and the potential. So it was a very good opportunity for me to join and assist where I can with my knowledge, as you say, particularly on the vanadium side, and get these projects well known by people, and start bringing Surefire to investors.
Okay, so let's get into the projects, and I guess the most obvious one would be to talk about your vanadium project. But before we do, vanadium as a product, as a commodity, why is it important at the moment?
Yeah, well, vanadium's always been extremely useful and important in the steelmaking industry. That's where the bulk of it will still go. However, with the move across to critical minerals and battery minerals and alternative storage and alternative energy, vanadium has a unique property in that it can retain and store an electrical charge. Now, this has been known for a long time. However, it's only of the last decade or so where the actual configuration and construction of vanadium redox flow batteries has started to occur and is now really catching on. So they're building some very big ones in China. There's some in Europe and also in the USA. There's very few producers of vanadium around the world. So particularly outside of China and Russia. So there is a very strong importance for bringing another vanadium mine or more on stream to satisfy the future demand, particularly in the alternative energy markets.
That the last company you were working with, TNG, I mean, that's still a long way away from, I guess, getting into production. Does that mean that there's going to be a big gap between that supply and demand? I mean, for example, let's take Surefire. Let's talk about your particular project and where you're at with it. Can we go into some detail there? Because I kind of want to wrap my head around how long it's going to take to go down the path of, you know, all the detail you've got to go into and how big this project is.
Sure. Yeah, good question, Kerry. Thanks. Look, what I was developing at TNG was a novel process that we'd come up with that extracted the vanadium, the titanium, and the iron out of these types of deposits. And that's the process that we were pushing, and I hope that they will still be successful in that. At Victory Bore, we have a much larger deposit, and in fact, as we announced today, we're over 1 billion tons. We can see very clearly from the magnetic signature that we get across this huge linear ore body. It's a 25-kilometer strike length, the focus for us here is that we're much better located as well, being much closer to port. We're 400 kilometers from the port of Geraldton, close to existing infrastructure. It's an outcropping ore body. It's remarkably unweathered, and it's remarkably a very clean magnetite. And what that means is that the vanadium is high grade and it's going to be easily extractable, which is perfect for the direction that we want to go in the company, which is towards the vanadium battery market. So we want to develop this mine purely to produce vanadium, so we can go down a traditional processing route. So that's a very short-term test work for us. And we also want to be able to produce the vanadium electrolyte from the vanadium, which is what goes into the batteries. The vanadium electrolyte is what you need to retain the electric charge in the vanadium redox batteries. So that's our aim. We're just focusing on the vanadium pentoxide, and vanadium electrolyte. Much simpler focus.
So it's a simpler process. Where are you at now? I mean, as you said, you came out with an announcement today, 1 billion tons. As you just said, it's outcropping, which means it's close to surface. And I guess, as you just said, a lower cost to bring it to market. But what I want to understand is the complexities and the time frame. What have you done to date? And what are you going to be doing in 2023 to add value to Surefire?
Well, the current status of the project is at a pre-feasibility stage. So this is a stage all projects go through before they move on to getting into the engineering. The big advantage that we have here is that we're going down a tried and tested pathway. So the process for extracting vanadium is well understood. The mines in operation around the world are using a tried and tested process. We will just mirror that. So it's well understood. There's less risk involved as a result. And as I say, the ore body lends itself ideally to us producing and focusing on the vanadium. Sure, we'll have a titanium iron residue, which we think will be a saleable product as well, but our focus is on the vanadium. The vanadium market, the price of vanadium has been increasing steadily recently. Now, this plays very well into the favor of our economics for this deposit as well, because our costs of production are very well known. They will be very similar to those other peers around us, and also what we see overseas with similar types of operations. So it's sort of like finding a gold mine and then how we're going to process it, and then you can eyeball other gold mines and see what processes and costs they have. So that's the advantage that we have, and that should streamline us bringing this to market, and or bringing a compelling partner involved as well.
I was just about to ask you, would you look at bringing a partner in at this early stage, or is that really something that you'd look at further down the track?
Nothing's off the table, Kerry. We know some people that are very interested in all of our projects, and we're a very open, we're a very commercial group, and Roger's always taken that view with all of his projects and companies he's had in the past. You said,
actually, just going back to Roger for a moment, you said he's been very successful in the past. What's some of his success stories? Are you allowed to share that with me?
Well, the names of the deposits and things of companies that he's had, I think a lot of people are aware of, but he's certainly been very successful both in Australia and overseas.
All right. So talk us through what I asked before, which was where's the value add in 23 with this project? So we're going to get onto the other projects in a minute, but with this project, what are you going to be doing in 2023 to add value to the vanadium project?
Well, the pre-fees will be completed over the coming months, and subject to the results of that will be the next stage. And that essentially, if everything stacks up, and we're expecting a very strong positive result, it should lend ourselves to going straight into a feasibility study, which we can then take that stage to the banks. But at that stage in 2023, I see us moving this ahead with a recognized partner.
Okay, so there's still work to be done, but it is, as you said, it's world class, it's big, it's 1 billion tons. But what you said, it's outcropping, which means it's close to surface. It's high grade, which means the more tons you move, the more money there is because it's high grade. In comparison to other vanadium deposits, before we move on, how would you rate this one?
At the top. We're principally because we're close to infrastructure, and we're 400 kilometers from port. So we have very good access. We've got a gas pipeline running right by us. So we have all the boxes that you want to tick before you consider whether a deposit is going to be economic or not are there. So that was very, very pleasing for me to see. Sure, there's some work to be done, but we don't have big weathering concerns. We have a very good, strong ore body for extracting the magnetite. It's going to lend itself, as already we know from the metallurgy, lends itself very well to a traditional milling and magnetite separation. So, and extraction of the vanadium is also easier than some of the other our peers. So, yeah, I'm very confident we've got an extremely good deposit, and it's one that I think has, when we say again, has been under the radar because it hasn't been, every stage of this work that's been put up has not been marketed strongly. They've gone about this in a very methodical, which I like, process, and come up with an ore body here that I think has been missed by others in the recognition of the value that it can add. This is a very, very big ore body, and I think will attract a lot of attention from overseas in particular.
Well, I guess that's the first thing, isn't it? When you start to attract attention, and this, I guess, the announcement today comes to that. So, the mineral resource estimate is added to the ETE. What is ETE?
That's the exploration target estimate. Got
it. Because you've got a lower limit and an upper limit. What does that mean?
So the ASX requirements on the listing rules for an exploration target reporting is that you must report a range. So it's reported a range, a lower to a higher upper limit. And conservatively, you can pick the midway. If you say, well, this is what the resource is going to look like at the end. Exploration targets are they are not defined, so they are subject to drilling and further assay. However, the methodology that we've used in this case by an independent consultant, looking purely at the magnetics, and we've got a lot of information on the magnetics susceptibility of the ore body, which is the magnetic response of the ore body, and that relationship between the magnetite and the vanadium shows that there's a very linear correlation. So it's very easy for us to pick the high points of the magnetic feature, which runs, as I say, for over 20 kilometers, and you can pretty much be sure that you're going to drill and you're going to have high vanadium in those zones, because that's what we see in the zones where we have drilled a lot.
Okay, I'm conscious of time. I just want to ask you one quick question before we finish with vanadium. Do you see any challenges in getting this project to get further down the track? And what are the challenges, if any?
There's always challenges, Kerry, in all projects, but this one has a much clearer pipeline, I would say, because we're in WA. We're in a very good mining environment where we are already, and there's infrastructure around. There's obviously lots of work to be done to bring this up, but it's work that's you can be sure will come out with a positive result.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot going on there, but you've also got a gold project, the Yidby gold project in the Southern Murchison, but over in WA as well. Given your background is very much vanadium, are you going to be spending time on the gold project as well?
Oh, absolutely, Kerry. Yeah, I mean, before I was involved with Tennant Creek Gold, which became TNG, I was with Normandy Mining for many years as their geochemist, looking at mostly gold projects. So, 12 years of looking at gold projects around the country and overseas. So, it's a great one for me. I really do enjoy gold projects. They always have a little bit of a challenge to them. This one in particular is very appealing, and as I say, is a potential company maker and would be for any junior. It was discovered blind, completely discovered by the company in 2020. It's surrounded by, it's in a gold district. You've got Mount Gibson, a 2.5 million ounce gold mine, 30 kilometers to the south. You've got Rothesay gold mine, 500,000 ounces to 30 kilometers to the north. It's in the same greenstone belt. It's a fantastic target for them to have picked up based on some structural data that they had. First pass geochem work showed some very, very strong gold anomalies. First pass drilling hit gold, and everything that they've done since, which has been gravity, magnetics, structural interpretation, leach testing on the gold to see if it's worth continuing to chase, which came out extremely, extremely favorable. And last year there was some core drilled as well, which we're just waiting on some further test work on that metallurgical work, some leach testing going on as we speak as well. But there's been some significant hits there. And if you look at other companies and their reporting, we're way above them. I mean, we've got 60 meters at 2 grams, we've got 10 meters at 10 grams, we've got 1 meter at 80 grams, we've got several meters, I'm just reading them here, 39 meters at 1, 10 meters at 2, 52 meters at 1, 60 meters at 1, 44 meters at 2. There's a whole range of very, very high grade gold hits in our drilling, and we still haven't defined the exact extent of it. The actual anomaly is over 3 kilometers in length. So this has the potential to be a world-class gold deposit, and similar to the one to the south. It's in exactly the same rock types. We've got a porphyry at depth, and we've got, as I say, bonanza grades coming out of some of the drill holes in a structure. It's obviously guided by structure here, and that's what is being redefined at the moment. And we have a drilling program that will be commencing within the coming weeks. The slight delay with the driller that we have appointed on a previous program, but that's the normal run of the mill in exploration. Yeah. So as soon as they're ready to go, the beauty of it as well is that it's just 4 hours drive out of Perth.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So it's a great project for us to all to be able to get on the ground with. I'll be up there. And it's a very interesting mineralogy that we're seeing at the moment. As I say, the gold is easily leached. So this is a huge asset for the company. Yes, we just need to grow it some more. And that's what this drilling program is going to be defining.
Close to surface or down deep? What are you looking at? What have you drilled so far? How deep have you drilled so far? How much have you drilled so far? And how big is this company project? How big could this get?
Oh, it could be huge, Kerry. I mean, it's a 3 kilometer strike length of anomalism at the moment, and we've drilled only less than a kilometer of it, and the mineralization is still open. We've drilled down, the mineralization starts at variable depths, but starts at around about 50 meters, so not deep. Okay. And certainly can be an open pit mine. And we've gone down to depths of about 200 meters in the drilling to date. So yeah, we're still unraveling the structural complexity of the deposit itself. But yeah, fantastic grades that are coming out. So I expect some more to come through soon. As I say, we've got some core that's being looked at the moment, and we expect some results from that in the coming weeks.
I've got a lot more questions about the gold project because everyone knows I'm known as that gold lady. I love those gold projects, but we're not going to have enough time this time. So you have to come back once drilling started. I'm really curious as to see how that pans out because it sounds
it's got all the hallmarks of being a fantastic gold discovery, a new gold discovery, because that's what it was. It was completely blind and drilled, got mineralization. It's astounding. But a fantastic asset for the company.
I don't think the market's picked up on the fact that this was like it seems to have flown under the radar. So it seems to have missed a few people.
Yeah, well, this is the opportunity, if you like, for me and for Surefire, because you're right. I mean, throughout COVID, there was a lot of work being done, but not a lot of marketing could be done. I mean, sure, you can do Teams and the interviews and various things like that, but Roger and his small team just carried on doing the work. A lot of people in WA were aware of what was going on, but it hasn't been marketed as such from a proper marketing campaign. So,
again,
all those projects again.
Watch this space. Let's go on to project number 3 because there's 3 projects in total.
Yeah. So the next one is. Even though these two are fantastic, this one could be really the jewel in the crown.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, because it's location-wise, it's 200 kilometers from Geraldton Port. It's a high-grade outcropping magnetite deposit in banded ironstone formation. It's outcrops, and there's in excess of 1 billion tons. We've defined already 200 million tons. And using the same principle, we're just following this magnetic signature. There's over 1.4 billion tons that we've estimated at the moment, subject to drilling of assay, of course, but it's there for sure. So this is very interesting because magnetite has been more in the focus now because people are moving away from hematite to magnetite because of the green steel. So you've got a higher grades that come out of magnetite, higher grade iron. So when we assay ours after grinding, it's 69% to 70% Fe, very high grade, attracts a premium, but also lends itself to what people are calling green steel now, because the more iron you put in, the less other additives you need to put in to make the steel.
Got it.
Okay, so it's green from that perspective. Reduces the number of other additives. And it's close to port. It's downstream from Sino Steel's magnetite mine that is being looked at by some very prominent companies in the West at the moment. And with the switch to magnetite, we can expect that there's going to be some huge interest in the size and scale of this deposit and its proximity to port.
Well,
it's a big asset for the company.
You say it's big. How do you talk about that? How much work has been done for you to be able to make that comment?
Quite a lot of work. We've done quite a lot of drilling to define the resource that we've got at the moment, which I said is just under 200 million tons. Mm-hmm. Just completed a large environmental survey over the area, and that's being reviewed by the company now. And a lot of field work, just rock chipping to check the strike extent has been carried on. It's owned 100%. We've secured it all, and there's been quite a bit of metallurgical work done, which just shows that the iron in the magnetite is easily liberated and with a fine grind. And that's the key with the magnetites. They do need to be fine grind. But look, this is a process that is well understood. Plenty of magnetite mines in operation. And we know that the end users, the steel makers and people in China and Asia and across the world are wanting now higher grades.
Right.
As the hematite grades start to decrease, they're starting to switch over to magnetite. So this one is a project that is really going to be in demand.
All right. Well, we're running out of time. I just want to understand this fully. They're all under the Surefire Resources banner, but
Yes.
each of them sound like they could be a company maker in their own right.
Absolutely, that's our belief. Absolutely, and you'd think that any other junior company would like just have one of these assets.
Okay.
So therein lies, yes, the challenge. How do we, as a small company, focus on three large projects?
Exactly.
I can see that coming. Yeah, well, it's we've got the focus is on the vanadium because there's a real value add that we can have there, and we want to bring vanadium to the market. There's a lot of support from governments around the world for these types of projects. Critical minerals. We also have some other minerals in there that could be very, very useful for like high purity aluminium, for example, but we can talk about that at another time. So yes, so we want to bring each of the projects up to a level where we then make a corporate decision on what we're going to do with them. Either we might have had an approach from someone by that stage, or maybe we're going to spin it out. Whatever makes the most sense for valuating for shareholders.
Okay. I want to find out, this is how I like to wrap them up and give a summary. Give me 3 reasons why you think right now people should be sitting up and taking notice of Surefire Resources. 3 reasons. I guess you could say 3 projects and leave it at that, but no. Over to you. 3 reasons.
Yeah, first one, look, it is the portfolio of assets that we have, number one, which are at a stage now where you can see value. Secondly, that value is not translated into the current market cap or share price of the company. And 3, therein lies the opportunity. We are at 1.8 or 9 cents, I think, today. I don't think you'll see any other peer company of our size with assets that we have got at such a low level.
A lot of shares on issue, though.
A lot of shares on issue that can work in your favor and against you, but it gives you good volume. And we have a lot of long-term shareholders as well.
All right. Well, I wish you all the best, Paul. It's great to see you back, and it's nice that you've got 3 world-class projects on your hands. Lots to talk about in the future. As you get news, please come back and give us an update. But to all of you out there, if you want to reach out to Paul at Surefire Resources, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any of your questions. But as he's explained in this interview, 3 world-class deposits: vanadium, gold, magnetite, all over in WA. And it seems to me that they're flown a little bit under the radar. So you heard it here first at Small Caps. Thanks so much for joining me today, Paul.
You're very welcome, Kerry. Thanks very much.